Hey friends, welcome to the Platt X2 channel. My name is John and this is episode number 17 of the 5. This is with Alan from Pop's Movie Dungeon. If you're not familiar with his channel, all the links are below. You've got to check him out. He has an absolutely insane movie collection and movie room. This is a really fun conversation and it was great getting to know Alan a little bit more. So I want to encourage you to, if you haven't yet, subscribe to his channel, follow him over on Instagram. He just passed 1,000 subscribers. His channel is just really moving and growing. So he's very active in the movie collecting community. So absolutely check him out. Follow him, subscribe to him, and you're gonna get some really great content. So anyway, Alan, thank you so much for doing this with me, the 5. It was really fun to get to know you a bit more. And so friends, if you're not familiar with the series, we talk to other movie collectors, we talk movies, we talk 5 specific questions where we end up with a big list of movie recommendations, and it's fun just to get to know other collectors as well. So thank you so much for checking out this episode with Alan, Pop's Movie Dungeon. Check out all of his content. I hope you enjoy this episode. So here we go.
Well, I watch a lot of scary movies, and it takes a lot to scare me. And I'm going to tell you, when I first seen that movie, I went and seen it with me and a couple of my sons. And I tell you, that movie got me. It was a while before a movie actually scared me. And there was things from that movie that days later, I'd walk into a dark room and I'm looking for the light switch. Well, me and my brother and I had a cousin that lived across the street that was the same age as my brother. Well, they took me to go see this. And Poltergeist came out in 82. Okay, so I'd have been 11. And we went and seen this. It scared the hell out of me. And we got back to the house, and they kept aggravating me to stay awake until the TV went off the air so I could see the static. I won't ever forget that. When Bruce Willis has this scene at the very end with his daughter, if you don't cry in that scene, there's something wrong with you.
Well, hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the 5, and we are approaching 20 episodes now, so that's been a lot of fun. And on this episode, we've got my friend Alan from Pop's Movie Dungeon. How's it going, Alan?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well,
excited to be here, man.
It's good to have you here. Now, I do want to say, yesterday was your birthday.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Happy
sir.
birthday,
Big 51, man.
51.
Big 51. Yep. Old man.
Well, happy birthday.
I appreciate that.
Movies? You get movies for your birthday?
Yeah, I got a few.
Awesome.
I got a few. I'll show you one in a little bit.
All right, good.
It's part of what I'm going to show later. But yeah, I got a really nice release I'm very excited about. I actually just put a video up, I think, yesterday on it. So yeah, it was a good birthday, man.
Good.
And I buy movies all the time, so I think a lot of that was kind of mixed into, my gift.
Yeah. I love it. Since I started my channel now, my family just assumes for birthdays, Christmas, Easter, Father's Day, it's movies. And so that's pretty fun. Yeah.
And my wife never knows the kind of stuff that I like as far as the horror movies go. So she just says, go get some movies. Go get what you want. And, I tell her what I got. Okay, happy birthday, Merry Christmas, whatever.
Yeah.
When it comes to the movies part.
That's a pretty good system. So
yeah, it works out well.
Nice. Now, on your channel, I see you've also fairly recently introduced some new merchandise. You got T-shirts. You're rocking the shirt now.
Yep, I sure do.
And a mug. I saw that.
Right there.
It was a very clever way to
Can't Stop Pop stuff. Yeah, I did a show with the guys over at Dead Pit. And when I was doing a show with CK over there, he basically said, man, give me your logo and I'll throw it in my store. And so, if you want to get some merchandise out there. So I was like, sure. And so I have 2 shirts over in his store now. It's over at shop.deadpit.com. I mean, I'm not making any money off of it. It's just word of mouth, get my image out there a little bit. Yeah. But I thought that was super cool of them to do that. And of course, the night he did it, I went out and bought like 7 shirts. I bought 7 shirts, coffee mugs, travel mugs. I kind of geeked out over it.
Yeah.
So all my kids are walking around wearing my shirts now. It's kind of cool.
That's great.
So
promo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I thought so.
That's awesome.
So that's how all that transpired.
Well, congrats, man, on the channel. I know it's growing pretty quickly, and you've got a killer collection. And
I'm having
I know you're
really
active on live streams. So, so congratulations on all the success you've seen on the channel. Yeah,
appreciate that.
Cool. Man. Now, you did. I wanted to ask you before we get into the 5. I did want to ask you because I was watching one of your videos, and you did a video recently on what you brought in A24 and imprint titles.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to throw out this question for you, and maybe they end up in the 5 anyway, but A24, I have a handful of those, and I've got 2 imprints, and I love both of those labels. They're fantastic. I was wondering if you had favorite titles from each of those labels that you're like,
Well,
oh, that's a great one?
yeah. We'll start with imprint. The favorite imprint that I've got so far is Fire in the Sky.
Okay.
Fire in the Sky, and another one is At Close Range. At Close Range was the first imprint that I bought.
Okay.
And that was a great movie growing up. I hadn't seen in years. And imprint did a great job with it. But Fire in the Sky, have you ever seen that? It's
No.
the Alien. Oh man, it's such a good one. And that was a hard one to find. They come in those really nice slip boxes.
Yeah.
And that was a hard one to find, with a slip box. And I finally found somebody from Australia on eBay that was selling it with a slip box. I had to get it imported. So shipping was like $20. But other than that, I go to Orbit DVD to buy all my imprint stuff. But yeah, those two would probably be two of my favorites right now.
Okay.
I still have a lot of them I need to get. As far as A24, my favorite A24 movie right now is still Hereditary.
Okay.
I absolutely love Hereditary. It takes a lot. I watch a lot of scary movies, and it takes a lot to scare me. And I'm going to tell you, when I first seen that movie, I went and seen it with me and a couple of my sons. And I tell you, that movie got me. It was a while before a movie actually scared me. And there was things from that movie that days later, I'd walk into a dark room and I'm looking for the light switch.
Really?
That movie creeped me out. And it takes a lot to creep me out when it comes to horror movies.
It's hilarious.
So that made me automatically love it. And so that became my favorite A24. Now X came out recently. I've seen that in theaters. And that was also a great horror movie. But still Hereditary is still number one for me.
All right, cool.
So, yeah.
The film that I want to pick up on imprint is The Apostle. I don't have that one, and that's one I want to pick up. Oh, do you really?
I do.
Now, where do you order from? I saw them on Amazon, and some of them are like $31 on Amazon.
Yeah, the best place I found is Orbit DVD, orbitdvd.com. You can get them there. They're always $29.99.
Oh, really?
At Orbit. Yeah, and if you get at least three of them, you can put in the code 3 free, the number 3 free, and you'll get free shipping. So
really?
Little interesting note there.
There you go.
But like I said, they don't have all the imprints.
Okay.
They always have a ton. Some of them are going to be more than $29.99 if you're going for a box set or something like that.
Right.
But all their regular standalone titles are $29.99.
Okay.
And that's where I get all my Orbits from. Except for every once in a while, I'll get them from Australia if I have to. If there's one particular one that I want, they don't have the older titles. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a great website
awesome.
too. Great site.
The A24 film I want to pick up next is The Humans. Have you seen that?
I have it on the shelf. I have not watched it yet.
Okay, that's the one I want to pick up next.
Yeah, I've not watched it yet.
All right, cool.
So, and I got a lot of the A24s I have not seen. So Hereditary may change. But as of right now, it's still Hereditary.
All right. So. Awesome. Well, when I saw you put that video up, I'm just, again, I don't have a lot from those two labels, but I love them. Like I found the ones that I have picked up. It's like 100. I'm batting 100%. Batting 1,000. I love every single one that I've picked up so far. So they're just great labels. So
they really are. And whenever X came out, I was on the fence whether I was going to get the A24s. Because they have Hereditary, Midsommar. They had a lot of them that I did like. But when I see X, I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to start grabbing these A24s. And what I do when I decide I'm really going to collect a label is I'll make an Excel spreadsheet. And I'll put in order, the date they came out, everything about the movie I can find. And that way I can go out and start looking for them. Yeah. And for me, the hunt's the funnest part. Is going out finding a good deal on this movie with the slip, stuff like that. Because, something like A24, I want to get all of them with the slip covers.
Yeah.
It's just to me, it's just more aesthetic on the shelf, and I don't want to have 85% without with a slip, and I'm missing these couple. That's just how my brain works. So like I said, right now I'm about not quite halfway through with the A24s.
Oh, nice.
But that being said, I haven't seen most of them. They're on the shelf. I'm working on, and I'm going to do like an A24 month where I'm going to watch an A24 every day to try to knock them out.
Nice.
So that's coming up in a couple months once I get more of them. So
that's awesome.
I'm excited about that.
I'm a big fan of them. They're great.
Cool. Yeah, they are. And they're not that expensive either. So that's a good thing. Compared to some of this other crap I got on my shelf back here, those seem cheap.
Well, I saw The Humans. It was at Walmart for like $16.99 with slip. Yeah. But I know they match Amazon. I went on Amazon and was at the store the other day, and it was like $14. So
that's
what I get it with slip for $14 at Walmart. So it's not too, or at Target. So yeah, not too bad.
That's the way to do it, man.
Cool, man. Well, I'm excited to dive in. We've got 5 questions for those of you who are watching for the first time. 5 questions, and my guests always answer each question with 5 films. And this is to talk movies because that's what all of us are addicted to doing. To get to know this movie collector a little bit more, people who have YouTube channels. Yeah, and to just build our wish list out a little more as well. So anyway, let's dive into the five. And I have, like always, I've got my notepad to write all the titles
I'm
down
with
that I that I don't know. And then I literally go home when I'm done recording these. I eat cereal and I watch all the trailers to the movies that I want to check out. So
That sounds like a good time to me. It really does.
So that's what's going on in about an hour. So cool. Well, the first question I have for you is, what five films have you most recently seen?
Okay, and this was probably the easiest of the five questions, because all I had to do was just go out to my letterbox. Now these aren't necessarily films I enjoy. These are the last five I've seen.
All right.
And this first one is Moonfall. This is a new release, just came out a couple weeks ago on physical media. And I know when I got this, I mainly got it because the steelbook is fantastic. I mean, the steelbook is, I mean, it's one of those with those fancy slip covers. And I love a disaster movie. You know, any kind of disaster movie I'm usually going to watch. And I went into this, you know, really excited about it, even though I'd heard a lot of bad things about it, because they had a great cast. I mean, this has Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, John Bradley, which played Sam off of Game of Thrones, which I was a big fan of his. And those three characters I enjoyed. Those three characters in the film I enjoyed. What I didn't really care about this movie was all the other characters.
Okay.
I didn't really care, you know, there's a father and son story. Didn't care. You know, just I didn't have any connection with any of these characters. And a movie like this, it takes to that next level if you really care about the characters.
Right.
And with this one here, I just didn't care. And like I said, other than those three characters, the interaction between them, get past that, I wasn't really a fan of this movie. This is definitely one I would personally not recommend. But I know there are fans of this film, but there's a lot of people that didn't like it. Okay. So I feel like I'm more in the second half there that didn't like it. So, but yeah, I was really wanting to like it. I really was, because I love movies like this. You know, this is a Roland Emmerich film. You know, he's famous for his disaster movies. You got 2012, you got Independence Day, you got Day After Tomorrow. And all those are great. You know, I know that 2012 is not the best, but it's enjoyable.
Sure.
I couldn't get behind this one. Matter of fact, just to give you an idea, the last 20 minutes, I turned it off, and I went back a couple of days later and finished it because I was bored to tears. Bored to tears.
Wow.
And I hated it. I was hoping to like it, but I just yeah, I can't recommend that one personally. If that don't make anybody mad, but I wasn't a fan.
A friend of mine, Stephanie, gave me the code for it, so I do have it to watch. So yeah, she said watch it first digital and just decide if you want to buy it or not.
And that's probably what I should have done, but I was I'm a sucker for good packaging, man. That steelbook was too good looking not to grab it. So I may throw it up for sale. I don't know. See if one of my kids want it, which is what I usually do. Yeah. I'll make like a stack, and the kids will come over and say, "Hey, what you got there?" And they usually come by and snag whatever I got laying to the side. So.
Nice.
Well, number two here. Now, this movie I was a fan of, and I was not familiar with this film at all. And I got a few guys on here I always live stream with. You got Johnny over at Johnny's Boutique Podcast, my friend Brad, Category 3 and more, and Jace. And Jace is actually, which is kind of funny here, Jace is from Australia. Okay. And so me and him kind of become friends, and he recommended this one here, and it was called The Proposition. And this is an Australian Western, and this is probably one of the most beautifully shot movies I've ever seen.
Wow.
They use like a wide angle lens, and I'm in my room here. I have Philips Hue lights, and they basically change color based on what's on the TV screen. And so this year you have a lot of desert, like sunsetting shots. And I tell you, when it came up on the screen, my room, it was amazing what it did to these lights in this room.
Wow.
This was definitely the most beautiful film I've ever seen.
Cool.
Now I went into this thinking this was going to be just ultra violent, you know, over the top, you know, like Western gore, a lot of shoot 'em ups. And there was some of that, not as much as I was hoping for. But that being said, I was a super big fan of this. This came out in 2005, and I've never heard of it before until recently. It has Ray Winstone, Guy Pearce, and Emily Watson. Guy Pearce is like your main hero in this. The basic plot of this is you have three brothers. Okay, you have a brother that's like the young innocent guy. You have a brother that's kind of right in the middle, and you have a brother that's like a real badass, and he's like real mean, violent, and whatever. And the brother in the middle has to make a choice. He either has to go help capture his older brother, the evil one, or they're going to kill his younger brother that's innocent. And that's kind of the premise of the story. He's torn between what's he going to do? Is he going to, you know, go to save his young brother who's kind of innocent, or is he going to go and, you know, kill his older brother? He don't know what to do. That's the general plot of the movie. And it's a lot of fun. Like I said, the ending was a little bit of a letdown.
Okay.
I felt like the ending, the whole movie is kind of slow. It really is. It's kind of slow, but it's just so beautifully shot. I was engaged the whole time. But when you get close to the end of the movie, you're waiting for this big payoff, and the payoff is just kind of it's kind of let down a little bit. But other than that, I would recommend this just for the cinematography alone. It's some of the best I've ever seen.
Cool.
So super big fan of that one. Now number 3 here, this was one that I am actually a real big fan of. I just picked this up along with a lot of other people. It's Wild Things. And I just got this from Arrow. And so far, this is probably one of my favorite releases of the year. I've seen this movie a bunch back in the day. This is such a 90s movie. Just let me, the caster. Have you ever seen this?
I have not. I know about it because it is a legendary 90s film.
Yeah. This cast, it's got Kevin Bacon, Nev Campbell, Matt Dillon, Denise Richards, Bill Murray. 1998. The cast in this movie is fantastic. Bill Murray is so much fun in this. He has a small role in it, but every time he's on the screen, he just eats it up like he always does. But Kevin Bacon and Matt Dillon do a great job in this movie here. This is definitely not a movie to watch with kids.
Okay.
It's got a lot of very adult scenes.
Okay.
So just be warned as far as that goes. But man, they did a great job with this packaging. Man, this steelbook is fantastic.
Wow.
But yeah, Arrow always knocks it out of the park. But man, it's hard to kind of explain this movie if you hadn't seen it. Matt Dillon is a principal of this high school down in South Florida, Miami or wherever. It ain't Miami, but it's that kind of town. And basically, one of the girls there accuses him of rape.
Okay.
And the movie goes on from there. Whether it's did he do it, did he not do it, and you come to find out there's a lot of like plots and twists. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it. I don't want to spoil it for you. Gotcha. If you haven't seen it. It's better to go in kind of blind. But that's kind of what you're getting. But everybody plays a good part in this. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I rewatched this when I just got it the other day, and it holds up. And it came out, 98, but it holds up really well.
Wow. I know people were super excited for that when Arrow was going to release that.
And when I picked that up, I hadn't seen it in probably 10 years, and I was afraid because I know there's a little bit of cheese to it. It's kind of not really a cheesy movie, but it's kind of you'll know when you see it.
Okay.
But I was really surprised how well it really held up. I was really surprised.
Cool.
So what was that, number 3?
Yes.
All right. So number 4 here, and this was one that I wanted on physical media for a while, and nobody had it over in the States. And I know that it got announced recently that a 4K was coming out. But this is a German digibook, and it's the movie called The Hitcher.
Okay.
And have you ever? It's got C. Thomas Howell and Rutger Hauer.
I've never seen it.
Okay, I would put this on your list. This is a solid movie. It's a solid movie. But this digibook is just fantastic. I mean, I'll show y'all the inside of it there. But this movie here, basically, C. Thomas Howell, that's him right there on top. He just got through making The Outsiders, and The Outsiders, is a world famous movie. Everybody knows The Outsiders. Well, this is a totally different movie than that. This is I'm not gonna say it's a horror movie. Some people will probably classify it as a horror movie. It's more of a thriller, I would think. He's basically traveling across country, and he picks up Rutger Hauer. He's basically hitchhiking, and he picks him up. And Rutger Hauer, from the get go, you see just how crazy he is, and it just kind of goes from there. Where he's playing the hitchhiker's playing cat and mouse with C. Thomas Howell the whole movie, and it's just so well done. Rutger Hauer plays an amazing bad guy in this. He just eats up the screen when he's on the screen. It's such a good movie. It's one that I grew up on. I watched it so many times on HBO back in the day, and I just could not find a good release of it. And there was bootleg copies and stuff like that. But even though I knew the 4K was coming out, when I seen this steelbook this digibook in Germany, I got on Amazon Germany, had to order this.
No way.
And that's a fun movie right there. It's pretty intense. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty intense, but not so much the scary side. It's more of like a psychological thriller. But yeah, Rutger Hauer, man, he eats up the screen. He's such a good bad guy.
I'll check that out.
Yeah. So far, everything I've said, that's the one I'd recommend the most. Big fan of it. All right. Now, I had to be kind of careful with this last one. I didn't want to take my Clint Eastwood box set off the shelf back there.
Okay.
I've made jokes on live streams before that if you ever see me online and that box is not behind me on that shelf, call somebody because I'm in trouble. That's my sign that I'm in trouble. That's always my staple in my background. So I had to just take out one of the discs. This is one of the sleeves to go in there. Actually, my movie's still over there in the Blu-ray, but it's this one right here. It's on Kogan's Bluff.
Okay.
That's what I watched recently. I'm trying to knock out all these Clint Eastwood movies. I've seen most all of them, but this is one that I hadn't seen or didn't remember much about. And this is one that came out in 1968, and it was directed by Don Siegel. Now, Don Siegel, I found out, he actually directed like 5 Clint Eastwood movies, including Dirty Harry.
Okay.
He did this one first. This is the first time Clint Eastwood and Don Siegel had ever teamed up. They went on to do two Two Mules for Sister Sarah, Escape from Alcatraz, The Beguiled, and Dirty Harry, which are some of his biggest movies. And before they made this movie here, they had never heard of each other. Clint Eastwood didn't know who he was. He didn't know who Clint Eastwood was.
Wow.
And they had to go watch some of their filmography to kind of get used to what see what they were getting into. And I thought that was kind of interesting. But this movie basically is Clint Eastwood's an Arizona deputy sheriff, and he's sent to New York to catch an escaped convict. And he goes to New York. He's the country, backwater sheriff, goes to New York City to catch this convict. And just all the craziness kind of ensues from there. But it's a really fun movie. It's not my favorite Clint Eastwood movie, but it's one that in his filmography, I've seen most everything. Big Clint Eastwood fan. It was one that I didn't remember much about. And so it was basically what I was doing is I'm going back to his first movie, and I want to watch all this filmography in that box set back there.
That's awesome.
That box set has everything he's ever directed, everything he's ever acted in. That's his entire collection, except for the last one that came out. I was kind of mad when he was making another movie, because that's from 1968 or 64 or whatever it is to 2018. Man. I got the complete collection. He's been coming out with another movie. I'm like, oh, you're killing me. So now my collection is not complete. So anyway, but I'm trying to go through and watch everything, in order the way he's directed or either starred in. So right now I'm at Kogan's Bluff, whatever, 1968. I got a while to go. So he's done a lot of movies.
He has done a lot of movies.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
5. That's the 5 I've watched most recently.
All right, cool. The next question: what 5 films do you have your earliest memories from?
Yeah, this one was a little bit harder. And I kept going back and forth. Just these are probably the earliest. They're definitely the most vivid.
Okay.
The first one, everybody knows I'm a big Jaws fan, but Jaws was not the first one in the series I've seen. The first movie that I remember seeing is actually Jaws 2.
Okay.
I was born in 71. Okay, Jaws came out in 1978, and I was probably too young to see this in theaters. We had some family in town, some older cousins. My brother's 6 years older than me, and my sister's 9 years older than me. So I'm the baby of the family.
Okay.
So I had some older brothers come in to stay with my older brother, and they all went to the movies, and I got to tag along with them. And I remember watching this movie. And if you guys have ever seen it, there's a scene where this body kind of jumps out of the water. It kind of a jump scare. And I remember the couple in front of us getting scared to death and leaving. and I just remember that. I remember it scared the crap out of me. Definitely, I was probably too young to watch this, but I would have been 7 at the time.
Wow.
And so probably too young, but that probably explains why I collect some of the stuff I collect now. But this movie here was a blast. I mean, it's obviously not Jaws, but it's a great sequel. Cool. I will say after this one here, it gets real silly, but this here I think holds up. This is a solid movie in my opinion.
All right, cool.
And this has the famous tagline: "Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water." It's one of the most famous taglines of any movie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I took a few notes on this one because, like I said, it's not one that I go back and visit very often. I've watched Jaws all the time, but I know that Steven Spielberg didn't want to direct this one because he said he had already made the definitive shark movie. Really? And so when they tried to get him to come back and make a sequel, he thought, he knew the Jaws 1 was such a horrible, experience as far as all the problems they had filming the movie. He didn't want to go through all that again. And so he stepped out of it, didn't want to do it. And Roy Schneider, who plays Sheriff Brody in this, at first he didn't want to come back. He had a problem with the studio because he was supposed to be on a movie called The Deer Hunter, and he got kicked off that set for some reason. And they called him back and, hey, you want to do Jaws 2? And at first he told him to go to hell, and then he ended up coming back and doing it. I'm glad he did, because he's great in this. Like I said, definitely not Jaws, but if Jaws is here, Jaws 2 is like right here for me.
Cool.
So that's one of the first memories I have going to a movie. Wow. And seeing that. This one here, my brother's gonna be mentioned a lot in this. Like he's 6 years older than me. I mean, they were super close back in the day. Still are. But this movie here is the other one, Poltergeist.
Yes.
And if you remember back in the day, that whenever the TV stations went off the air, you get the static.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me and my brother and I had a cousin that lived across the street that was the same age as my brother. Well, they took me to go see this. And Poltergeist came out in 82. Okay, so I'd have been 11. And we went and seen this. It scared the hell out of me. And we got back to the house, and they kept aggravating me to stay awake until the TV went off the air so I could see the static. I won't ever forget that.
That's hilarious.
So that was a fun memory now. But this is now one of my favorite horror movies of all times.
Cool.
So figure that out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange. But yeah, I've seen this movie a gazillion times, and I actually went and bought this one for another live stream I did the other day because I didn't own it on physical media.
Really?
And I knew that the 4K had been rumored, and I didn't want to buy this knowing the 4K was coming, but I needed this for another live stream, so I found this real cheap on Amazon.
Nice.
So that's where that came from. But yeah, that's a Toby Hooper movie. But if you watch it, it's got Steven Spielberg's signature all over it. He wrote it and produced it, but Toby Hooper directed it. And
Nice.
I know it's it was a debate between me and some of my buddies here recently. Is it a Toby Hooper movie? Is it a Steven Spielberg movie? And I don't know what side of the coin I'm on. I mean, I love Toby Hooper. I love Steven Spielberg. But when I watch it, I see Steven Spielberg. That's all I see.
Okay. Interesting.
So that's a hot little debate we've been having here lately. All right, where am I at here? This next one here, this one ain't quite as big as these other movies. It's a movie called Gator with Burt Reynolds.
Okay.
And I've just got Burt Reynolds and Jerry Reed in it. And what's interesting about this movie here is, they're in Smokey and the Bandit. And with this movie here, Jerry Reed plays the bad guy. And so you have Burt Reynolds and Jerry Reed going against each other.
Okay.
Which everybody so used to see them with Smokey and the Bandit being the two buddies, the heroes. Well, Jerry Reed's a bad guy, and his name's Bama McCall. That's his name in the movie. It's Bama McCall. And this movie is so fun. Burt Reynolds and Jerry Reed, they're absolutely great on the screen together. I love Jerry Reed in this. He's a good bad guy. It's weird to see Jerry Reed play somebody that's creepy. Okay. And this bad guy, he's almost creepy. He just has that he's super charming, but he's evil as hell. It's like that. And I grew up loving this movie. The first time I seen it was in a local drive-in. We used to have a drive-in here. We don't have it anymore. It's been gone for years, but I remember seeing this as a drive-in movie. I remember we went and seen it twice. And the first time I seen it, I fell asleep. And this is an old one. This one came out in 1976. So I'd have been 5. But I've seen it many times since then. But I do remember going to the drive-in twice to watch this. First time I fell asleep, second time I finished it. And I've always been a big Burt Reynolds fan. I'm where I live at. Burt Reynolds went to school here. He went to Florida State University is where he went to school at, played football. Okay. And so I remember going to games as a kid. I used to go to all the Florida State games, and he'd be up in the skybox with Lonnie Anderson and stuff back in the day when he dated her, married her, or whatever. Crazy. So I never met him, but I've seen him from a distance 100 times.
That's wild.
So I've always been a big Burt Reynolds fan, and that's a great one right there. It's one that when you think Burt Reynolds, you think Smokey and the Bandit. Yeah. And our Deliverance or something like that. But this is a great one here. If you hadn't seen it, just a high recommend.
Cool.
It's a real fun movie. All right, next up on my list here. Sorry, I got to turn my page here. Next on my list, I got The Bad News Bears.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's such a good movie.
I love Walter Matthau so much.
I'm a huge Walter Matthau fan. I love him. And this movie was absolutely made for him. This part he plays in this movie. I mean, just from the opening shot when he pulls up in his car, he pops open a beer, pours a little beer out to pour whiskey in it to get out for a Little League baseball game. Yeah. It's so funny. When I got this is an imprint, by the way. When I got this imprint in the other day, I popped it immediately. I hadn't seen it in probably 20 years. It's so fun. It's such a fun movie. And Tatum O'Neal, she's great in this as well. But one thing I found interesting is the little punk kid that comes and starts playing with the team to kind of help the team out. Jackie Earl Haley. That's the guy that plays Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Oh, really?
When he grows up, he plays Freddy Krueger, which I thought was kind of cool.
That's wild.
And also another tragic thing. Well, on another note, a tragic thing about this is Vic Morrow, who plays the butthole that plays the opposing coach of like the championship team or whatever. That's the guy that was in the Twilight Zone movie that got killed on set.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a bad accident where a helicopter like exploded or something, and I think some kids died on the set, and that he died filming the movie, which is terrible. But this was a few years before that movie. I think this was 76. I think Twilight Zone movie was like 80 or 81.
Wow.
So and I forgot he was in this. So when I seen him, I was like, oh man, that's Vic Morrow.
Wow.
But Walter Matthau, man, if you hadn't seen this, it's so good. I know you said you're a fan of it, but this is one that I remember seeing back in the day. And it's funny, we didn't have cable until this came out in 76. We didn't get cable to probably 80, 83, 84. Okay. So I don't know, maybe I was a little bit older the first time I seen it, but I remember seeing this young. I don't remember seeing it in theaters. I don't know if I did or not, but I remember watching this 100 times growing up, and this was a very young memory of a movie I used to love. So I had to add that one there. I was pretty sure that was one of my earliest memories.
I pick up anything I don't have Walter Matthau. When I find it, I pick up.
Yeah,
I love him.
yeah, he's so good. He's so good. And the Grumpy Old Men movies and the Grumpy Old Men.
Oh,
Oh my God,
absolutely. Everything
love it.
he and Jack Lemmon did together was The Front Page they did together.
Yeah.
I've got a handful of their films, and The Odd Couple, obviously. Yeah, they're just so good. I have never found a copy of Out to Sea. I think that's a harder one to find.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that was one of their later movies, wasn't it? I think that was a later movie.
Yeah.
That's cool. Walter Matthau was great. He was a legend.
Absolutely.
All right, now this next one here is probably going to give you a lot of insight of why I'm such a horror fan, or why I collect all these weird movies. Because I definitely should not have been watching this at the age that I watched this at. First time I seen this one here was on TV, and again, trying to be cool, older brother, trying to, I'm not scared. I'll watch it. And that's Carrie. I first seen this on TV, and I'm not going to try to ruin anything, but it's the final shot. If you've seen the movie, it's the final shot. A hand pops up out of the grave, and that scared me to death. And I had nightmares for weeks after that. And I said, I hate it. Never watching that again. And now I think I've owned this movie in like 4 different formats.
Wow.
But I love the movie now. It's one of my favorites. I'm a huge Stephen King fan. This came out in 1976. So I seen it on TV. So it was probably 1979, 1978 before I actually watched it the first time. But a few years after that, I became a Stephen King freak. I loved anything Stephen King. Anytime one of his movies came out, right there in the early 80s through the 80s, he had like a movie every year come out.
Yeah.
And I eat them up. I loved them. And so I go back on this now. This is one of my favorite horror movies. You got John Travolta in this, like one of his earliest roles. Like Welcome Back Kotter days.
Yeah.
Sissy Spacek's great in this. The remakes of this movie is actually pretty enjoyable, but it's nothing like the original. Sissy Spacek, this was her role. Just a lot of fun. And even going back watching it now, as old as it is, I love it, man. It's just such a classic horror movie.
I actually saw it for the first time last year. I've never seen it before. So what shocked me was the John Travolta, because he's such a nice guy. I have the whole Welcome Back Kotter series, and I just kind of like at that period of time, that's all I see him as. And to see him in that role was just, it was kind of wild.
It was weird. It was
very weird, but but it was cool. Well, that's awesome.
And this was also the first Stephen King movie that went to film.
Oh, really?
So I think it was his first book, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So a big fan of it.
Awesome. So the next question is, what 5 films have had the greatest impact on you? It could be emotionally, it could be impacting your worldview, it could be on changing your life somehow, a relationship, anything. But just 5 films that have the greatest impact on your life. Yeah,
well, I'm gonna go ahead and say, since you said that last part about relationship, I'm gonna go and say this one first. This is number 2 on my list.
All right.
I'm gonna move this one up. This is the one that's got the biggest story for me. And this was a life-changing event for me. And this movie here is a kind of a pinpoint for all that. And I'll go into detail here. I'll show you the movie first. It's Castaway. Now, this movie here, when it came out, the first time I seen this movie, just give you a little backstory to kind of show you why this movie means so much. I got married in 92. Got divorced in 97, 98. I think it was 97. And I had 2 kids, 1 and 5-year-old, 2 boys. And when I got divorced, whatever, I had them most of the time. And I was separated. We were divorced for like 2 years. And, everybody on the outside looking in thought I was making the biggest mistake of my life. We all got back together again. We decided to get back together.
Wow.
We moved back in together, tried to make a second chance of it. Didn't work out. And but it's one of those things that I needed to do that. We both needed to do that just to make sure we knew that, okay, we tried it, we knew, now we know we can move on. And so it was my step in moving on. Well, in the process of that, I gave her time to find her a place, and I moved out for a week. I said, look, I'm gonna get a hotel room. You get your ducks in a row, find you a place to live. Where we were living, it was in my name. I'm gonna go stay in a hotel room for a week. So I went and stayed in a local hotel room down, a few miles down the road. And the first time I ever seen this movie is those, you in a hotel, you can like rent a movie in the hotel room. You go to that one channel and rent a movie. Well, I knew this was out. Big time Hanks fan, never seen it. Watched this movie for the first time in that scenario. Now, the reason why this movie meant so much to me is, in this movie here, he's about to get married. He goes to this island. He comes back and the whole world's changed. His whole life is like left him and moved on. Well, after watching this movie here, I kind of really related to it, because shortly after this, I met my current wife.
Wow.
We got remarried. I got remarried in 2001, and we've been married for 20 years.
Wow.
And my current wife was my two sons, my 1 and 5-year-old. She was their preschool teacher. That's how me and her met.
Wow.
And so right about the time this happened, I was going from my old life to my new life, and this movie hits. And even though he's on a deserted island, it's not the same.
Right.
The feeling of this movie that I got really resonated with what was going on in my life at the time.
Wow.
And so when I was in the hotel room by myself, wondering what's next, what's the next chapter of my life going to be, this movie here kind of hit home. Shortly after, I found my next chapter of my life. My wife I have now, happily married 20 years.
Wow.
And it's this movie, every time I see this movie, I go back to that week in that hotel room, and so this movie here hits home. It's one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies for that reason alone. And it's an amazing movie on top of that.
Yeah.
He lost 50 pounds to do this role.
It's crazy.
He stopped working out, kind of got pudgy, whatever, to film the earlier scenes. And they stopped filming for a year for his hair to grow out, lost 50 pounds. And man, movies like this have like pretty much 1 star through the whole movie. I mean, nobody's ever done it better than Tom Hanks.
Absolutely.
I mean, of course, you have the Wilson volleyball that helped out. but yeah, I love this movie, man. It has such a special place for me.
That's awesome.
It had to be in this list.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah, so it does mean a lot, man. Every time I watch it, I go back to that feeling, man. It's that one scene there at the end where he's talking to his buddy, after he comes back and he's talking to one of his friends. He says something about, he said, I lost her once. I go to the island, I come back, and I had to lose her all over again.
Wow.
And it's like, it gets me every time. So it's such a good one.
Yeah.
Now this next movie here is also very special because, I think this is probably special for most people for the same reasons. The movie is Stand By Me. Anybody that had a group of friends as kids, the neighborhood buddies that you were inseparable for, your whole childhood. And so every time I see this movie here, I think back to those days, of that group of kids. And I heard somebody say something one time that nobody knows when it is, but there's a certain time that I can't remember how the line went, but there's a certain time when you're out playing with your friends that you don't know that's going to be the last time you're ever going to do this.
Yeah, I recently heard that exact line. Yeah.
And that kind of hit home a lot. And the Richard Dreyfuss scenes when he's in his truck and he's like, he's doing the narration of this, whatever, talking some of the stuff he says, whatever about his childhood, it really hit home. And not to mention, I watched this 1,000 times with some of those friends I grew up with. We remained friends into our adulthood. And we used to watch this our teenage years, watched it together a lot. And it's just a very special movie. I mean, I'm sure it is for most people. It's a great coming of age movie, probably the best I've ever seen.
Wow.
Great cast. I mean, you got even like Kiefer Sutherland playing the bad guy. You got just a great cast in this. Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell was the chubby kid. Now he's the Hollywood heartthrob now,
right?
Which is crazy. And this was based on Stephen King's novel The Body, which I'm sure most people know. Rob Reiner directed. Man, this movie just is a home run, absolute home run. Now, this next movie here, it kind of goes back and forth, but this is probably my favorite movie of all time. It kind of goes back and forth between this one and another one we'll talk about a little bit later. But that's Rocky.
Oh yeah, man.
The first Rocky movie, man. I am a Rocky super freak, man. Me and my wife, and I've told this story on some other live streams, but me and my wife, we got to go to Philadelphia I live in Florida.
Okay.
And we got to travel to Philadelphia about 3 or 4 years ago. And there is a Rocky impersonator in Philadelphia. I can't remember the name of the tour now, but basically this guy looks, breathes, talks just like Rocky Balboa, the young Rocky Balboa. So we knew we wanted to do his tour. So we went in and paid for it, got everything lined up before we went. And so we were going to it was an all-day tour, just me, my wife, and him. And he was going to take us around to all the Rocky locations. Well, I'm so excited. I'm standing outside the hotel room waiting on him to come pick us up. He pulls up in a minivan. On the front of the minivan is a tag that says Southpaw. Like your Rocky has on his car or whatever. I seen that, I automatically geeked out. He gets out, he's in character. He's got his black jacket on, his black Rocky hat, like Rocky 1 and 2. And he's a full Rocky character. And he's like, he gets us in the van. And I'm just geeking, man. Yeah. And my wife's in the back, whatever. Me and him's in the front. And she says that I'm just talking to him. We're back and forth. And it was like a 4-hour tour.
Wow.
All these spots. But it was like one of the greatest days ever. We got to go to Mickey's gym. We got to go to where where Adrian's pet store was. Yeah. We got to go to Rocky's house. And all these different scenes, he would set it up as, all right, you stand here and take a picture here, trust me. And basically what he did is he was setting up these different shots of us standing in the same exact spot that Rocky stood in for all these famous scenes. That Rocky speech that he does in Rocky Balboa, he actually got in the street and did that whole speech as the Rocky character. Really? And you were just like geeking out. Oh man, it was so fantastic. Got to run the steps. Well, in my mind, I ran the steps. I think I ran halfway up the steps and sucked wind the last half of the steps.
Oh yeah.
But I got up, got to see the Rocky statue. That was huge.
Absolutely.
It was a big bucket list item, and one that I will never forget. And like I said, it made me love the movie even more. But that Rocky, there's something about this Rocky movie, man. I love a movie where the underdog wins.
Yeah.
The underdog, you know what I'm talking about. And this is the ultimate. I know I'm not breaking any ground. Everybody knows that.
It's my favorite film franchise of all time.
Mine too. Mine too. I literally could put this in right now.
Yeah.
There's no other movie that has ever made me feel as good as this movie feels.
Absolutely.
You get that feeling. You know what I'm talking about. You get that
Absolutely.
feeling. And the part of this movie of Rocky 1, more than the fight at the end, him going the distance, the part of this movie that means the most to me is that one shot when he's in the room with the promoter. And the promoter's kind of getting him excited, saying, "Look, this is your chance. This is it." And the camera slowly starts zooming into Rocky's face. And you get a look on Rocky's face where it's like, okay, everything he's ever wanted is right here in front of him. Now he's scared to death.
Yeah.
And they capture that so well. And it's like, I get chill bumps just talking about it. You know,
I love the whole cast.
I could talk about that for an hour. Yeah.
I loved, I know Rocky's the guy, but Paulie is my second favorite character. And in Rocky Balboa, I just loved what they did. Like his character destroyed me in Rocky Balboa because you see the regret. Because when you watch the earlier films, he does treat Adrian pretty crummy, and you see him look at a life of regret. You see him just inner struggles. I absolutely love his character. I wanted to see him in the new Creed films too, but you can't have everything. But I just 5 I don't love, but everything else I think is just perfection. And I still like 5 because it adds to the story. And but I've run the steps once, and what I loved about it, I was nervous because I live about an hour and a half away, 2 hours.
Okay.
I was nervous that I would be the only nerd doing it, but everybody's got the song playing on their phones or they're whistling it while they're running up the stairs. And I was like, oh, I'm in heaven. I'm exactly with my people, and it's just the best. And what was crazy is when you get to the top of the stairs and you turn around, I've never stood there before. I never spent time in Philly, but before I even turned around, I could tell you where everything is because I've seen that shot so many times. And it was wild to stand there going, I feel like I've been here a ton of times, but I've never been here before.
The top of the stairs, as you know, they got the imprint of Rocky's feet there.
Yeah.
So you can stand in the exact spot. I got the poster over there, that spot that, the spot where he got his arms up on top of the stairs.
Yeah.
It was such a cool moment, man. And what's funny is we got in late that night and I knew we were going the next morning to see the stairs. And I got up like 3:30 in the morning. I already showered, shaved, ready to go. I'm sitting there waiting for my wife to wake up. She's like, "What are you doing?" She said, "What time?" I said, "I think it's like 4:00. No, we're not. We got the steps like 5:30 in the morning.
Did you really?
We did.
Wow.
We did. I was super excited, man. I waited my whole life for that, man. It was awesome.
It is the best, man.
And I introduced those movies to my wife for the most part. She never had really watched them. And when she first watched Rocky 1, she was like, she didn't like Paulie at all. She just said, "Just wait."
Yeah.
I said, "Trust me. By the time this is all over with, we binge watched them one weekend. I said, you're gonna love Paulie," and she does now. She loves Paulie now, but he's real easy to hate in the very beginning.
Oh yeah, he is.
And Burgess Meredith, man, Burgess Meredith is come on. And the part 3, man, that's such a heart-wrenching moment.
It is.
But yeah, it's probably my favorite franchise too. There's no other set of movies that make me feel the way this one does. No. Not even close.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's saying something. I've watched a lot of movies, which I'm sure you have as well, and it's just that's something to say about a franchise.
Absolutely, it is. That's cool.
I could do a whole show just about talking about Rocky. All right, now the next movie here, and this was kind of a tough question, because this really doesn't have sentimental meaning so much. It's my favorite movie of all times. I mean, Rocky, like I said, it goes back and forth, but I kept going back to this here. I had to do the original Jaws.
Yeah.
This is a perfect movie. When I watch this movie and on 4K, the 4K, this is my favorite 4K. But this is the favorite movie of all times. It is the most perfect movie, the most enjoyable movie. There's so many things about this movie that I love. Robert Shaw is Quentin. This movie is my favorite character on screen.
Yeah, me too.
And I say that with this being close. And luckily, right before COVID hit, I was able to go to a local theater and see this on the big screen for the first time. I'd seen Jaws too, like I said earlier, but I'd never seen Jaws on the big screen. And so I seen every Wednesday they would show an old movie. when I said they were doing Jaws, I was there. I was first in line. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I can say about this. Other people don't already know. I mean,
Sure.
it's not a monster deep dive or nothing, but I just love Jaws so much. What I wanted to show you earlier, this is what I got for my birthday. I got this.
Oh, wow.
The particular box set.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and I had seen this on Jagoda Blues on Heat Street that he
Okay.
started doing. He pulled this, and I'm a big Jaws fan. I thought, oh my god, what is that? And so I went looking for it, and this thing's limited to 333 pieces.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And so I didn't think I'd ever be able to find it, and I found somebody selling it on eBay at a very, very affordable price.
Wow.
So I was very happy to grab that. And I got an unboxing of this. So I just put it recently.
Crazy.
So, but man, that was my birthday present right there. I was super excited about that.
That's awesome.
So, all right. So the last one that I got, now this is probably going to surprise a lot of people. I mean, I don't know if you go back and watch some earlier videos, my backdrop before I got this shelf built was all the Star Wars posters, or the 3 original Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I mean, I was born in 71. I was right there in the heart of it when it came out. So I grew up Star Wars. Star Wars is what got me to start loving movies so much. I had every Star Wars toy, every Star Wars, everything growing up. And most people right here is probably going to think I'm going to say Star Wars, the original movie. And I could, but I decided not to because this one has a little bit more meaning to me, whatever. I told you when I got divorced and the year it was. Well, I was living by myself with my boys. And my oldest son at the time would have been 8 when Star Wars, The Phantom Menace came out. When Star Wars, The Phantom Menace came out in, was it 99? Yeah, 99. And I know a lot of people hate on that movie. It could have been better. You know, I don't listen to none of that. I get past all the parts of the movie I wish could have been better. Because to be able to take I had recently introduced him, you know, to the 3 original Star Wars movies. A couple of years later, I found out they were coming out with a new Star Wars movie, and I was like, I got to go to the theater, which I never thought, being a Star Wars fan, I'd never go to a theater and see a new Star Wars movie. And the fact I got to take my son to go see that movie, it was the greatest experience ever. And so Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, I look past all the shortcomings, you know, looking back at what everybody says about the movie. A lot of people hate on it. But yeah, the Star Wars Phantom Menace, taking my son to go see that, you know, I won't never forget it. Not to mention the guy's name that played Anakin, that was Jake Lloyd. My son's name is Jacob.
Oh, cool.
And they looked like spitting images of each other. The actor and my son, it was crazy how much they looked alike.
Wow.
So it was just so many things about that movie. It's almost like it came out during that time to help, you know, me and my son kind of get used to how things were going to be going through the divorce. He was right at that age where the divorce was real hard on him.
Sure.
Yeah, luckily, my younger son was a lot younger. He didn't really know what was going on.
Gotcha.
But my older boy, it was real hard on him. And so this was something that we could kind of connect with. And I see your shirt. I'm a big Atlanta Falcons fan.
Okay.
And me and him, me and all my sons, I got 3 sons total. But me and all my sons are big Falcons fans. But like I said, during that time, it was this and the Atlanta Falcons football. That's the year Atlanta went to the Super Bowl for the first time.
Okay.
And it was weird. It's like Atlanta's always sucked. They've always had terrible teams. But that one year, the one year that I needed it the most, they went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they got their butts beat. But that was a great season going into the Super Bowl.
Sure.
And this, you know, the Star Wars Phantom Menace coming out, man, it's almost like it was made, in my mind, it was made for me to get me through one of the toughest times of my life.
Yeah.
And so that the Phantom Menace is why that definitely means more to me than the original Star Wars. Even though the original Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, that's what got me into loving movies so much.
Yeah.
So I went back and forth. I even got on both of my lists. I wasn't sure which one I was going to say, but I had to go with that one.
That's cool. It's wild how like movies, if you see it just the right season, the right moment of your life, how
absolutely
it can change. Like for me, I watched the animated film. I only have 2 animated films, I think, in my entire movie collection. I'm just not really into animated stuff. And I saw Inside Out with my daughter. We had just done this international move. I was desperately missing my family and friends where I'd moved from. And my daughter was just born. And so she's born into a new place. And we didn't have all the people around us who we're used to and where we lived for so long. And that movie just destroyed me. And like Riley, I don't know if you've seen the movie, Riley, everything she was going through, I was like, I'm going through as a 37-year-old man at the time. And, but if I'd watched that movie, 2 years earlier, I would have been like, oh, it's a cute kids movie. But it was just literally the right moment for it to just mean the world to me. So it's my favorite animated film. And, but I think it's because I saw it at that time.
Right. Absolutely. I understand exactly what you're talking about, because there's something about a certain time, a certain emotion, a certain memory, whatever time you're going through in your life, a certain movie will just hit.
Yeah.
and it is there forever. That's how it
Absolutely.
is for me anyway. Just I definitely can relate.
Cool. Well, the fourth question is, what 5 films do you consider to be underrated films?
All right. And I don't know if some people are going to call some of these underrated. Maybe I don't hear a lot of people talk about them. These are the 5 that I landed on. This was kind of a hard one for me because there's a lot of these that I probably could have pulled. But the first one I landed on was The Innocent Man with Tom Selleck. This is a prison movie, man wrongfully accused. And the reason why I like this movie so much is, first off, Tom Selleck does a great job in this. This is probably one of my favorite movies that he's done, actual movie. Obviously Magnum PI, that's what I grew up knowing Tom Selleck as, but as far as the movie goes, this is my favorite. This also has F. Murray Abraham. He's like another prisoner in this, like a friend of his in the movie. Came out in 1989. And yeah, this movie, like I said, it says you got some dirty cops that kind of set him up and he goes to jail. And it's just, these cops are just horrible. And they put him through so much hell. And what this guy has to go through in this movie before he finally gets, his revenge at the end. It's like, you get so mad watching this movie. Every time I watch the movie, it just pisses me off. And you can't wait for the cops to get what's coming to them. And this movie does a great job doing that. Building up getting you invested in the characters, which is what I'm a big fan of that. You get invested in these characters and you really get invested in this guy's story. And by the end of it, whenever things happen, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but when things happen, it's so rewarding. And by the time you leave this movie, you just have every emotion. You're mad with him, you're happy with him. It's a great one. And I don't hear anybody ever talking about this.
I've never heard of it. I wrote it down because I'll definitely be checking it out.
I think you would enjoy that one there. I think you would enjoy that. This next one, man, this is such a good movie. And this may not be considered underrated. I don't hear a lot of people talk about it when it comes to Anthony Hopkins. Everybody talks about Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that. But it's a movie called The Edge.
That is great.
Yeah, man, I love an outdoor adventure movie, an animal attacks movie, and this movie is done so well. Alec Baldwin is great in this also, but man, this is the Anthony Hopkins movie. He's such a great character in this. He plays a billionaire. His wife's a model, Elle Macpherson, and Alec Baldwin's he thinks Alec Baldwin's having an affair with her, and there's that love triangle, and they go down in a plane crash, and there's a bear that starts attacking them, and every time they turn around, this bear has been following them the whole time, and they finally have to come to the realization it's either they got to kill this bear or they're not going to survive. And it's such a powerful movie. And if you've seen the movie, you've seen this, right? I
have seen that one.
The scene where Anthony Hopkins is getting Alec Baldwin excited about finally having to attack the bear. What one man can do, another can do. Repeat after me. Oh, it's so good. So as far as animal attack, outdoorsy type movies, this is my favorite. I love it.
That's cool. I haven't heard of that one in a long time.
Oh man, I'm such a fan. And I had to go find this. This is in my closet over there. My overflow closet, whatever you want to call it. I call it a closet of shame because it's like the bin picks you find at Best Buy, not these boutique crap.
Gotcha.
But I was glad I still owned it because I really wanted to show it on camera. But even if I didn't, I was going to just tell you, hey, I don't have it, but I love this movie.
That's been a long time.
And I think it's underrated. I don't hear a lot of people talk about it.
I don't either.
And I really hope that we get a 4K of that soon. This movie needs a 4K. This outdoors, all the shots. Oh man, really needs a 4K. Man, that's a guy. I might have to watch that tonight. I love that. I haven't talked about that in a long time. This next one here, this is a horror movie, psychological thriller, but also I feel like it's very underrated. And then again, maybe not. I just don't hear a lot of people talking about it that much, and I'm a huge fan of it. A movie called Copycat. Sigourney Weaver, Holly Hunter, and Harry Connick Jr. plays the serial killer in this. The singer Harry Connick Jr.
Oh yeah, I don't remember if I've seen that or not.
It's a great psychological thriller. Basically, Sigourney Weaver is a I don't remember if she was like a writer or she was like some kind of like teacher or somebody that really like a professor that like helped track serial killers. I think she would help the cops. I can't think of the term, but she basically was like an expert in like tracking down serial killers. She wasn't a law enforcement, but she'd help them out, something along those lines. And basically, she had went through a trauma with Harry Connick Jr. back in the day. Harry Connick Jr. was now in prison, but she was now agoraphobe. She was scared to leave her house. And she's still a genius, whatever, but she was scared to death to leave her house. She hadn't left her house in like years. Well, there was a copycat killer out there now that was copying some of the killers that she helped put away. And so Holly Hunter and I can't remember his name, I wrote it down, and Dermot Mulroney, they're the two cops, whatever, that come to get her help. You know, but of course she won't leave the house. She don't want to talk about this stuff. Leave me alone. I'm trying to move on with my life. She has all kind of psychological issues, but she ends up helping them track down the serial killer, this copycatting Harry Connick Jr. that's in jail now. Well, Harry Connick Jr., which is the guy that they're going to say, look, we got this guy that's trying to copycat you. We need to pick your brain, kind of like a Silence of the Lambs kind of thing, trying to say, what can you give us, whatever, to kind of help us catch this guy, you know? And it's just the interaction between her and Holly Hunter and Dermot Mulroney, whatever, is fantastic. Sigourney Weaver's great in this. She plays a terrified. I mean, everybody knows Sigourney Weaver is the badass from Alien, and to see her play this role here, where you know she's smart, but she's this agoraphobe scared to death. It's such an opposite role than she was in Alien, but she does such a great job at it. Holly Hunter and Dermot Mulroney, they're great in this. They don't have like a romantic relationship, but the whole time you kind of think they both want to.
Okay.
It's one of those kind of deals. They're partners. And Harry Connick Jr., man, I know he's a singer. He wasn't really known at this time as an actor. I think he's a great actor, but he does such a good job as the killer in this. I can't remember if I wrote down his name or not. I don't remember his name. But it's like, I want to say it's like Early Haley or so. It's not that, but it's like what 3 names. All killers have 3 names.
Right.
It's something like that. I can't remember his name now, but he plays such a good killer in this. You know, he's funny. He has great charisma, even though you know he's crazy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's kind of like I keep comparing him to Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, but it's kind of that same kind of character. You know, he's not as demented as he is. He's more comical. But he just eats up the screen. When he's on the screen, he eats it up. And when I went first seeing this, I wasn't expecting Harry Connick Jr. to do that. And I'm like, who is this guy? I know he's a singer. I wasn't really a fan of his music, whatever, but man, this guy can really act. He was in Independence Day as Will Smith's best buddy. He did a movie called Hope Floats with Sandra Bullock.
Yep.
He's a good actor.
Yeah.
He's really good in this. The guy that plays the actual killer, the one, the copycat they're trying to get, his name's William McNamara, which I don't really know him from anything else, whatever. But he's really creepy as the guy that's chasing this killing all the girls and the guy they're trying to catch. Really creepy. And so he does a really good job. But yeah, underrated movie in my opinion. Cool. I've seen it a dozen times. A lot of fun. All right. Now this next movie here really needs a we'll do this one first. This one here is a movie me and my son went to go see. And it's one of those like Sunday afternoons, we're gonna go see a movie, what's playing. You don't really know anything that's playing that you really want to see. And we went and seen this, like, yeah, we'll go see it. We're a fan of some of the cast, we'll go see it. And it became one of our favorite films of the year when we watched it that year. And it's still one of my favorite movies. And it's the one on the bottom here, still The Perfect Storm.
Oh yeah, it's outstanding.
Yeah, with George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg. You know, as you know, based on, so you've seen it. You've seen it. Oh man, this movie. I really want to get this one in 4K. I want a nice 4K release of that movie.
That'd be
I just
amazing.
got this triple pack, which is a great triple pack, by the way. Yeah, The Perfect Storm blew me away. I was not, no pun intended. I was not expecting that at all, and I knew it was based on a true story. But man, it's such a gut wrenching movie when it finally happens at the end. You know, some of the guys that are trapped, some of the stuff. That one guy that says this is going to be hard on my son. You know, it's like, oh, man, it tears me up. Yeah, you care this again. I go back to this again. You care about the characters. Anytime I watch a movie like this, when you land the characters, you care about those characters. It takes to that next level. Yep. For sure. If a movie is missing that, you know, it just ain't going to be good. Absolutely. But I have went back and watched that one a bunch of times, man. It's so fun. John C. Reilly is so good in this. Yeah. Such a different part for him. Yeah, it's just great. You're right. A 4K of that would be incredible. It really would. Yeah. It really would. You know, it's based on a true story, which makes it, you know, so much better. Just, well, not even say better, but you know what I'm saying. But it makes it more heart wrenching. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're more invested if it's if you know it's a legit story. Right. Way more invested. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that one there, and it's one that desperately needs a 4K. It's high on my list of what I want on 4K. So well, nobody ever talks about it though. So I don't know. It's a Mark Wahlberg film. George Clooney's got a big cast in it. Yeah. You know, I wrote down the cast: George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg, John C. Reilly, Mary Elizabeth Master Antonio. If I said that right, it's a mouthful. And Michael Ironside. Michael Ironside plays the boss. He always plays the butthole. Yeah, he does it well. And the guy that plays Bugsy, I don't remember his name, but the guy that plays Bugsy, you know, him and Irene, the girl he meets at the bar, even that little side plot, you care about them so much, you know. Right. So it's just it's a great one. It is a great one. All right. This movie here is one that I know is underrated because it only has a DVD. Just don't even have a Blu-ray release. And I only have probably 4 or 5 DVDs in my collection. And I went out and bought this one on Amazon. First DVD I'd bought in years because I wanted it so bad, but I kept on waiting for it to come on Blu-ray and it never did. And this is a movie called Shoot to Kill.
Shoot to Kill.
With Sidney Poitier and Tom Berenger. But this has Sidney Poitier, Tom Berenger, Kirstie Alley, and Clancy Brown. And basically Sidney Poitier, which he just passed away recently.
Yeah.
And the day I heard he passed away, I put that movie in and watched it that night.
Wow.
I hadn't seen this in a long time, but I had to watch it because this is my favorite movie with him in it. But basically you have Sidney Poitier as an FBI agent, big city FBI agent, and Tom Berenger is like a mountain boy, a mountain man. You know, he's like him and Kirstie Alley are married, and they're both like tour guides. They take these tours up to the mountains. They're real backwoodsy, whatever. And well, basically Sidney Poitier has got this guy that's like a diamond thief. And he ends up killing some people and he goes on the run, crosses the Canadian border or whatever, or tries to. And he ends up, they find out he ends up killing somebody that's going on this mountain tour that Kirstie Alley's supposed to be taking this tour, like 8 or 9 guys on. Well, that introduces these 2 guys together. You got the mountain man, you got Sidney Poitier being the big FBI agent. And they're like a day behind Kirstie Alley, and Kirstie Alley doesn't realize that one of the guys in her party of like 8 guys is the killer. Okay. He basically kills all the guys meet like at this camp. Well, this guy gets there early, kills one of the guys, and kind of steps in saying, okay, I'm part of the tour. And so now Kirstie Alley and these 8 guys go up on this mountain tour, you know, and all this real rough terrain. And the whole time you don't know which one of these 8 guys is the killer because you don't ever see the killer's face.
Interesting.
And so Sidney Poitier and Tom Berenger is like a day behind them, and they're having like going for the mountains. You got FBI agents who's never lived in New York City or wherever he's from. And Tom Berenger's like this rough, tough mountain man. He's like, no, you ain't going. You're going to slow me down. He says, no, you're taking me with you. That kind of thing. And so it's one of those deals, and their back and forth is fantastic.
Interesting.
And so the movie is them in the outdoors trying to chase down Kirstie Alley, and you finally get to the point where it weeds it down. You realize who the killer is.
Okay.
And then you have the bad guy in Kirstie Alley being chased by them in the woods, and they're always one step behind.
Interesting.
And it's such a fun movie, man. It's one of my favorite action movies.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yes, and it's hard to watch it. You might have to buy this DVD. You can probably get this for $7 on Amazon. Okay. Real cheap. But nobody has it streaming. This is the only release that I could find.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's super, super hard to get a hold of. But it's hard to the options are limited, but you can find this on Amazon for less than $10, I'm sure. Okay. So I will check it out. I think you would be a fan of it. Check that out. It's a fun movie. It came out in 1988, so it's an older one. It's an 80s movie. But I'm a big fan of it. Check that one out. All right. That was my number 5. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the final question. What 5 films bring you the most joy, hope, laughter? They put a smile on your face.
Yeah, this was another one that you're gonna think I'm weird on some of these probably. But we'll start with this one. This is probably not too far out of left field. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, classic.
I mean, I seen this in theaters. I probably went in theaters and watched it 6 or 7 times when it came out. I was a huge John Hughes fan. John Candy, love him to death. Broke my heart when he died. And these 2 together are classic. We talked about Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Yeah, this could be the next of those. Yeah, they were so good together. But then, of course, now this is a Thanksgiving tradition. Every Thanksgiving morning, you know, my wife's in there cooking stuff to take over to Mom's house for Thanksgiving. I pop this in as soon as we get up, and it's always playing in the background on Thanksgiving Day. Nice. And it's such a good movie, man. It's so fun, so quotable. It's such a good time. But yeah, that one there, just looking at that poster when I was getting this out of my room in there to this show, it's like, oh man, that's so good. And I'm sitting reading the back of it, you know. Very, very good fun movie. One I really love. And out of all John Hughes movies, it's probably up there with maybe not my favorite, but it's probably top 3 for sure. Cool. And this next one is where you might think I'm a little weird, but I'll explain. And that is The Return of the Living Dead. Now, as you know, I'm a big horror fan. Now, this is a horror comedy. This is definitely a horror comedy. Have you ever seen this one? I've not. Okay. Now, this is not a full-blown spoof of the zombie movie, but it's a different take on the zombie movie. It's definitely a horror comedy. And as far as the horror comedy goes, it's the best one I've ever seen, personally. Cool. Let me switch over to my notes here so I can make sure I'm getting all the names right. But this has Clu Gallagher. I don't know if you're familiar with Clu Gallagher or not. No. But he was in a lot of old westerns and stuff. If you've seen his face, you'd probably recognize him. But he plays in this, and a guy named James Karen. Their back and forth is great. I always want to say Tom Matthews, but it's Thom. It's Thom Matthews. I guess how you say it. And a guy named Don Coughlin or Calvin. I've only seen him in this. But basically what it is Clu Gallagher owns this medical supply warehouse. And Thom Matthews is the new guy in the warehouse. He's being trained by James Karen. So James Karen and Thom Matthews, when it starts, whatever, they're in this room and here's the new guy, you have the old guy, and he's kind of training him about stuff, whatever, telling him some old war stories about he asked him, he says, what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen? And he says, you remember that movie, Night of the Living Dead? The old black and white movie. He says, that was based on a true story. And you feel like he's messing with this guy, trying to scare him, Oh, no, it wasn't. That's bullcrap. He said, man, zombies, they got up and walked around. He said, they kind of Hollywooded it up a little bit. What really happened is that these military kind of screwed up. And, some of the barrels that he goes to this bullcrap story. And he says, some of the barrels that were supposed to be delivered for the military actually only got delivered here. And we have them down in the basement. And he don't believe they go down there. They ended up cracking these sealed army containers up that's got these dead bodies in it. And the fumes get out. And of course, The Walking Dead starts. But, it's crazy how they react. It's really comical how they react, just some of the stuff they say. And it's hard to explain unless you actually see it. There's no way to really get the full effect of how crazy this movie is unless you actually watch it.
Okay.
Put it this way. My wife hates horror movies. She doesn't like them. She don't like watching the trailers. She does not like a horror movie. I taught her into watching this. I try to tell her, look, this movie is funny. It's not really that scary. And it's really not that scary. And she loves it. She actually absolutely loved this movie. She thought it was funny as hell.
I'll check it out. I'm also not really a horror guy myself, but I'll check it out.
I knew you wasn't. That's why I was going to recommend this to you. Is this will be a good. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some gore in this.
Okay.
But even with the gore that's in it, and there's a couple scenes that's just that is kind of creepy, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you watch it. But there's going to be so many times this movie you're going to laugh just the way they react. It's so kind of campy, over the top, the way they react to some stuff, and that's one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Cool.
So I had to add that one. And this next one, this brings me a lot of joy because I love movies with great dialogue. I love a movie that has dialogue, and nobody does dialogue like Quentin Tarantino. In my mind, he's the best at it. And this movie right here was my introduction to Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
And there's so many days I worked from home during the pandemic for like 14 months.
Wow.
I work in state government, and I worked home for 14 months doing computer stuff. And there's so many days that I would just have a movie playing in the background while I was working. And I could throw this in, and I've seen this movie so many times, I can almost quote the whole movie. But I could throw this in. It's just that dialogue in the background noise. But not only that, just sitting and watching this movie, it's such a great, well done movie, such a different type of movie. And it was so groundbreaking when this movie came out. Came out in '94. And I know everybody knows this, but just the cast: John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis, Uma Thurman, Tim Roth, Ving Rhames, Eric Stoltz, Christopher Walken. The speech of Christopher Walken about the watch. It's classic. And like I said, I can almost just go to different chapters and just watch it. And every scene is just great. Such a fan of this movie. Like I said, I love Quentin Tarantino. Anything he's ever done. This is my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. It's the one that
Tarantino is just so talented. Like, it's everything he does is, I think virtually everything he does hits legend status almost right away.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Yeah.
He's so good at writing dialogue.
The
dialogue in his movies, it don't matter what the movie's about, the dialogue is so good.
Yeah.
And if I was an actor, I could just imagine that if you get offered a Quentin Tarantino role, you have to know it's going to elevate your career. Absolutely. Because his dialogue is written so well.
Absolutely.
I mean, John Travolta's career was over with.
It was.
This brought John Travolta out of nothing, and Samuel L. Jackson had been in a gazillion movies.
Yeah.
He didn't become a star until this.
Yeah.
It's got to be worth something. So
it's true.
Yeah, I love that movie so much, man. This is another one I could do a whole show just talking about that. Really good. This next movie here is probably going to will probably be on a lot of people's lists, but it definitely had to be on mine, and that is on Back to the Future.
Oh yeah,
the first Back to the Future movie. Yeah, I remember seeing this in theaters when it came out, and it was so groundbreaking. I love Michael J. Fox in this. It's just such a great movie. Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
And Christopher Lloyd, I mean, come on. Could you imagine anybody else playing that role?
Nobody could. Yeah.
It's like it's such a great movie, man. I mean, I don't know what else I can say that people don't already know about it. And I'm sure it's not a deep dive again. So it's a pretty obvious pick, but it's one that I have great nostalgia on. Like when I was picking my posters for my movie room here, I got about 12 posters in here. And this is the first poster I put in my cart online. Cool. I was buying posters, man. I'm such a fan of that movie. I got a shelf back there, right behind my head there, all my Michael J. Fox stuff.
That's awesome.
On the left there is a Funko Pop that a buddy of mine got me for Christmas last year. The same guy that built the shelf. and it's got Michael J. Fox's signature on it.
No way! Wow.
I opened that up like, oh my god, it was a Funko Pop with Michael J. Fox's signature. That was my gift from him last year.
Crazy.
And man, so that thing will always be sitting right there. It's my prized possession.
That's really cool.
But yeah, I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, man, and I love all the movies, but obviously Part 1's where it's at for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know Crispin Glover did such a great job in that, and I wish that they wouldn't have did him wrong, whatever they did, because I wish his character would have progressed through the other movies. But yeah, huge fan of that one. All right, now this next one here, I'm gonna have to control myself a little bit, because I don't know if you watched the stream that I was on, the top 5 space movies that Tim Talks Talkies did the other day.
Yeah.
I kind of got some crap over this one recently, so I'm gonna keep this one very short and sweet. Right. That is Armageddon.
Yeah, I
absolutely adore this movie. There's a lot of people that hate this movie. I mean, they don't not like it, they hate this movie.
Sure.
And to me, I don't understand it. I don't want to get into that big debate, but let me just say, for all the reasons why I did not like Moonfall, people could say Moonfall was a remake of Armageddon. So not true. Okay. Basically, what most of this is, let me see if I can word this how I got it in my head. The reasons why most people hate this movie is the reason why I hate Moonfall.
Okay.
Moonfall, there was no story. The story was terrible. It was very unrealistic. It was very, it was so cookie cutter. I didn't care nothing about it. For all the reasons why I love this movie is why I didn't like Moonfall. The characters in this movie, you care so much about each one of these characters. The dialogue in this movie, the back and forth between all the guys, is absolutely classic to me. I absolutely love it. Sure. And by the time this movie hits at the very end, it's been 100 years since this came out. When Bruce Willis has this scene at the very end with his daughter, if you don't cry in that scene, there's something wrong with you. Yeah. And Billy Bob Thornton is so friggin' great in this. Obviously, I love Sling Blade. Sling Blade is his masterpiece, but I love Billy Bob Thornton. And people are going to give me crap for comparing Billy Bob Thornton's Sling Blade performance to Armageddon. But I love him in Armageddon. It's just something about the characters, the way they play off each other. And even more than that is how much you care about these characters. And from Ben Affleck, singing that goofy ass song before he gets on the plane. Yep. The back and forth between Ben Affleck and Bruce Willis, kind of that father-son thing. Yeah. And then the very end, when they say they love each other, I'm getting chills. I was telling you this, I'm getting chills. Now, you can't make that up. You can't make these kind of emotions up, man. Yeah, yeah. And how somebody can watch this and not get that, not see that. At least, okay, it's unrealistic. Scientifically, it's stupid. I understand all those things. It's a Michael Bay movie. It's always going to be over the top. But he absolutely hits home with this so much. And like I said on Tim Talks Talkie stream, I will argue this movie with anybody to my death. But I love it. I got the poster on the wall, and people walk by. You got an Armageddon poster. Yeah, that's the. I got this later. I got this for Tim's stream, so I actually didn't have this on physical media for some. I had the Blu-ray. I guess my son borrowed it or something. So I went out to get the Blu-ray again for that stream, and I seen that Criterion had a DVD of it. I didn't even know they did. Yeah, and so it was super cheap. So I went and bought the Criterion DVD and the Blu-ray release. That's amazing. Yeah. Hey, you can always say, like, hey, man, if it's got a Criterion release, it's got to be something, There you go. But, this is so strange because there's a lot of people that hate this movie. There is. I found that out since I started YouTube. There's a lot of people. And I'm going to make a video one day. I'm going to do a live stream one day where I'm going to get on there with somebody that hates it, and we're going to debate it. I think that'll be a fun stream. That'll be worth watching, yeah. Yeah. But, man, I'm such a fan of it, man. It's so good. And you even got Aerosmith singing, his daughter's in the movie. You got him singing one of the greatest movie songs ever. That song was massive when it came out. Yeah, I know it's goofy, man. I know it's so unrealistic, and it's you're not going to send astronauts into space to drill. It's goofy as hell. But I mean, think about what all these other movies that people love. They're just as unrealistic, Absolutely, it's a popcorn movie. Yeah, but it's one of my favorites, man. I have such a love for it. That's cool. And I'm pushing after that. I'm not going to say nothing else about it because I could go and debate that. Well, that's awesome, man. And those are the 5 questions. Thank you so much for pulling titles. And I know we were talking earlier today about how tough it is to narrow that to 5. So thanks for taking the time to do that. Man. I appreciate it. This is a show that I've been wanting to do for a while. When you first started this show, I kept thinking, maybe you'll hit me up one day. Episode 5, episode 6. And I didn't want to be that guy that go, hey, if you ever need somebody. Yeah. So when you invited me, I was pretty excited. I'm not gonna lie, geeked out a little bit. I was happy. I love the show. Well, I'm really, really thankful you said yes. So I appreciate it. So for me, it's always fun. Kind of, we were talking before we start recording about the longer you do this YouTube thing, the more like you're hearing about more films. And so what's so much fun for me is hearing from
different YouTubers about the films that kind of shape them and what matters to them. So I end up watching a ton of stuff, but then just getting to know people like, so a large part of all of our videos are these like haul videos. And a lot of times you don't really see the human. It's just like, it's a haul video.
Right.
And what I love about these conversations is you shared a lot of like really personal stories about like, this is why this matters to me. And this is why the imagery in this film is significant. And so that's the other reason I enjoy these conversations too, is I get to actually know the human beyond a haul video, which is, which I love haul videos and all.
Yes, it's why I love watching these so much. You know, when you do these episodes, you really get to know, you know, I remember you doing the one with Joe Martinez. I didn't really know Joe Martinez that well. I mean, we've done a couple things together, you know, but after watching your show, I mean, I was surprised at just how I didn't know he liked musicals. I didn't know all that kind of stuff, you know, he didn't come across to be that kind of guy. You get to know him. It's like, wow. Yeah. You know, so, I mean, which I always heard he was a great guy. I didn't know him, but I felt like I knew him better after that stream, you know?
Yeah. Me too.
It's a good idea, man. It's a great show.
Really is. Joe was the very first person to subscribe to my channel, the very first person to follow me on Instagram. His was one of the first channels I started watching, and the first to like encourage me and like push me along into doing it. And so for me, I love that conversation that Joe and I got to have, because I got to know so much about him. And he's an open book. He's like one of the most like authentic, genuine guys you'll ever meet. And so yeah, he's a cool fella. Yeah,
he seems to be a great guy. So I've done a couple things with him, a couple streams with him. I think we did a I don't remember what I know we were on a trivia one time. Me, him, and Down the Movie. We did a trivia game one time. That was a lot of fun. Right.
Yeah.
And then we did I'm trying to think what else we were on together. It was something over on Ken's channel. I don't remember what it is now, but we did something with Ken also. Maybe it was one of his end of the month roundtables or something.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, he's a good guy.
He is.
I've always liked him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, this has been a lot of fun, man. It's been a blast.
Cool, man. Well, is there anything coming up on your channel? Do you want to make folks aware of?
Yeah, actually, Born to Be Rad over there on Born to Be Rad channel. Garrett over on Born to Be Rad channel. He nominated me for Horror Channel of the Month for the month of May. Me and 3 other YouTube channels.
All right, cool.
And so if you guys want to vote for Pops Movie Dungeon for that, you can go over to Garrett's channel, and there'll be a link on his channel. You'll see it, and you can go to that video, and you can vote in the comments who you want to vote. You can watch the video and see who the nominees are. But I'm one of the nominees for Horror Channel of the Month for me. So fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes.
Nice.
I'm going to be on Born to Be Rad's channel next Thursday. He's trying to get each of the nominees up. He did a show with one of the nominees on Wednesday night of this week. Thursday of next week, I'm going to be on his show, I think at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And he's going to be talking to me about my channel and stuff like that, just to kind of get our name out there a little more. And he's doing it with all 4 people. But Garrett won the month of April. And it's kind of cool what they do with that. It's basically like Garrett won the month of April, and he has to name 4 nominees for the month of May. Whoever wins this month has to name 4 nominees for the month of June, so on and so forth. And the qualifications are you have to have less than 1,000 subscribers. You have to regularly put up horror content, stuff like that. And so it's a great way to get eyes on new channels.
That's really cool.
On newer channels. It's a really great idea. Yeah. So I hope I win it. It'd be fun to nominate 4 people for next month. I've been trying to promote it, but I have a hard time promoting myself even like when I do a live stream. So you want to say something about your channel?
Yeah.
I'm like, I never say the right thing. So I have a hard time trying to get votes. I feel like it's going to be my hindrance with this, but I've got a lot of buddies that have been pimping it out, talking about it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think getting on with Garrett next Thursday will really help a lot too. And I've got a lot of votes. Surprisingly, I got a lot of votes so far. Nice. But so as the other nominees also. It's going to be a tight race.
That is a cool way of getting. I love that when folks in the community highlight people whose channels are starting out. Like that's one of the things I love about 4K D-Ray when he does all the battles. Is he'll have people with larger channels on it, but he's got people who are just starting out on it, and I love that.
Yeah.
That's a really cool way to help promote everyone, get everybody seen. So
being on the battles with 4K D-Ray, and I've done some stuff with Ken early on, like the world's biggest collectors and stuff. Man, that really helped my channel out a lot in the beginning. Got my name out there to a bigger audience, that wouldn't have seen me any other way. So I'm very grateful to them for all that. And Garrett, the guys over at Dead Pit, man, they've done a lot also to kind of help promote stuff, whatever. So this community is just great, man. There's so many people that's willing to help. But if anybody wants to know how to vote, you can hit me up on Instagram, or you can look at one of my last couple of videos. I talk about it, and I have the links to some of my last videos. But yeah,
cool. And everybody who's watching, all those links for channel, Instagram. I'll have all that in the description below. So
awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so people will be able to get to you. Yeah, if they're not already subscribed. So
that's awesome, man.
Cool. Yeah, no, I agree. Ken is obviously his channel is just becoming enormous, and I love he's doing the same thing. He gets people who have smaller channels, and when he asked me to do one of the things with with him, I was like, dude, I don't have a massive collection, and so it was very kind to him to include people who are no matter where you are in the community. So so there are some great folks out there doing some.
There really is, man. When I came in, I was so scared, but this is so out of my comfort zone. And people that know me personally, my kids are like, "Can't believe you're doing that," because I was the kid that always like skipped school when I had to do an oral report, book report, get in front of the class and talk. I hated it. Yeah. And the fact that I'm on here doing a YouTube channel is mind blowing to a lot of people that know me, grew up with me. So.
That's cool. Well, Alan, thanks so much, man. I really do appreciate it. And I know you and I have done one thing before, so this is kind of our first actual time having a conversation. So it's
when I did my first movie battle, you were the guest, the vote counter. Yeah,
I thought I was going to have a stroke that night. It was a pressure to count. It was crazy.
Yeah, we came down to that last movie. It was me and down to movie. Yeah, and it came down to that last pick. And if you remember, the last count took forever because it was real tight.
Yes, it was.
And I ended up losing, by the way. So maybe you should count it one more time.
He does it. It's an automatic count now, isn't it?
Yeah, now it's automatic. He has like a little poll thing that comes up. Yeah, you can vote. It's much easier now.
Yeah, I went home so stressed out, but
I could imagine
it was fun. But because you want to make sure you get it right because you care. So yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, so it's been great to get to know you a little more. And again, I'll have all your links down below for people to connect with you. So thanks so much for going through the 5. I appreciate it.
Had a blast, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Cool, man. Thanks so much.
Right. Take care.
Thank you so much, Alan, for doing this, for doing episode number 17 with me of the 5. Friends, all the links are below. Check out all of his content. He has a crazy collection. It's amazing. So many boutique titles. He just passed 1,000 subscribers again. So congratulations, Alan. That's a really fast growing channel. He's super active in the community, movie collecting community. So definitely check out his content. And I hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Thanks for taking the time, and be sure to immediately go to all of Alan's content, subscribe, follow, and I promise you'll get some great content. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out this episode. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.